The unique thing about the State of the Union, Giselle, is that the California congressmen, they're able to bring a chosen guest from their district to the State of the Union address. So that's where we get to meet a lot of the Southern California leaders or even just advocates, students even, who come here to Washington to share their story. So I heard stories of triumph and sorrow on an array of key issues like immigration, environment, and affordability. But many times the guests shared concerns for health care. Congressman Ted Lieu of Los Angeles brought a two-time gold medalist for the Olympics, Gary Hall Jr., to Washington as his chosen guest. Now, Lieu shared a similarity with his guest, Gary, that they both live with a pre-existing condition. At one time, Gary was the fastest swimmer in the world, but struggled to afford insulin for his type 1 diabetes. He says it was a rough time because he was at the top of his career, but says he had trouble affording the drugs he needed during the Olympic days.
And I was told by two doctors that I couldn't compete in the Olympics. I went on to win a gold medal in those Olympic Games, being the world's fastest swimmer. I was healthy enough to be an Olympic champion, but not healthy enough to purchase health insurance. And we've made a lot of progress since then, but we need to continue to fight the good fight on behalf of patients.
We simply ask Mitch McConnell to have a vote on those bills. If he doesn't like them, he can vote them down. If he likes them, he can vote them and pass them to the president. But at least he should do his job and allow those bills to come up for a vote.
As Lieu was mentioning, there are upwards of 250 bills passed in the House that still sit in the Senate, which includes H.R. 3, which is meant to lower the cost of prescription drugs. There's also a Senate version of that bill and an agreement between parties about the issue, yet no bills have even passed. And this week, the Supreme Court listed a case that looks to strike down the Affordable Care Act for discussion on February 21st. And as you may all know, the ACA protects patients with pre-existing conditions. So very important to Lieu and Gary as they look out for that. Now, Lieu says he just hopes the president will drop that lawsuit that's going through the Supreme Court right now, which obviously is very unlikely. President Trump says the ACA is unconstitutional and shouldn't exist, and he wants to replace that plan. Now, Gary says he will always continue to fight for those patients with pre-existing conditions. He's looking very closely at the case in the Supreme Court. But the one theme that I noticed that every single one of those Southern California guests had was the theme of hope. So it was really uplifting to talk to all of those guests, and it was just a very interesting time.
Oh, that's a nice way to end the week. A little bit of hope.